So, good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us on this Friday morning. I hope you are all doing very well with your studies and the preparations for the exams. So this will be our first exam webinar to prepare you for the upcoming examinations. So we will go through later through the program just to describe what other support measures are also available to you. So this one is a live broadcast, but you can use the Q&A to ask any questions. So please check on your device that you're using for this to join this event. There is a button called Q&A, and please feel free to ask your questions in the Q&A, and we've got support staff in the background to help you with any questions that you might have. So today we've actually got quite a big program that we have to work through. So firstly, we're going to have a look at how to access your myExams portal, what type of assessments are there, and how do you check what is the type of exam that you can expect for your module. Then we're just going to have a quick look at academic integrity, why it's so important for academic integrity before we dive into the proctoring tools. And I know a lot of you, that is where you usually are the most stressed out with the proctoring tools, but we will cover all the proctoring tools so that you know you are ready for the examinations. We will then have a quick look at the mock exams. The mock exams really do, how can I say, give you a real-time environment while the exams will be working so that you know that you are ready for the examinations. And then we'll just have a look at online assessment skills. How do you actually approach different types of questions to make sure that when you answer the question, you get the best marks possible for those types of questions. Then we will have a session for student support. If you have any problems, who do you contact? What is the procedure to request support from the contact center? And then we will have a quick look for students with special needs. What are your options? Who can you contact? And what is the procedure to get exemption for some of the examination proctoring tools if you've got any special needs on your side? But firstly, please have a look at the ADOVH Facebook page. It's on the screen at the moment. It's facebook.com/UNISA ADOVH. We will update this always with the latest information, all the events that we have, especially even next year when you start again with a fresh new year. We'll have a lot of events to make sure that you are ready, not only for your academic career, but also once you go into the workplace. So you've got the necessary skills that you need in this digital age. So one of the things in the chat, there is a link to the pre-assessment. Please complete the pre-assessment before the session so you can open it up in a different browser. It's just a couple of questions so that we know what is your current understanding. And then we're going to later on put another assessment in there, a little survey, just to see what is it that you've learned through this webinar. Was the information communicated to you so that we can see how we can improve this in the future? But firstly, on the screen at the moment, this is the myExams guides. So please take the time, take a picture of your cell phone or write down the link that's at the bottom. They will put it in the chat as well. So you can look at a Q&A, but write this down. It's just bit.ly/myExamsGuide. And I'll show you now what is everything that's available here. So everything that we will cover today is available on these guides. It's always available. It's on my modules. You can even for the next year already also see any updates, and the webinars that we're having today and in the future, we will also add to the site. So I'm just quickly gonna share with you how to get what the site looks like. So once you open the site, click on the link. The first time you will need to click on the enroll button if you haven't done this previously. From then on, it will be on your drop-down, My Exams Guide. So the My Exams Guide covers, as I mentioned, everything that we will be covering today. It's also got frequently asked questions. So if there's any, in the future, some questions, you can always come down to here. We update the frequently asked questions. But as mentioned, we've also got the support contact information. So if you do run into a problem, this is the area that you can come to also find out who to contact with specific problems. So I'm going to delve right into it. Let's first have a look. How do you actually access the myExams portal? So this is very important. If you're, for instance, using the My Modules app on your cell phone device, remember the exams happens on a different learning management system. Each college has their own myExams portal. So if you're going to be using your mobile device for myExams, make sure that you can access the myExams portal on your mobile device. But the procedure generally to access the myExams portal is first open myUnisa, and then you click on the myExams button. On the myExams portal, select the date of the assessments and choose your module to open the college assessments portal. On the college's assessment portal, log in with your normal myUnisa credentials, and then from there you can select your exam for that specific date. So just to give you a visual representation, so on myUnisa, you click on the myExams link. This will open up the myExams portal where you first select the date. And then once you selected the date, it will show all the exams that's happening on that specific day. Now, just note here, this only lists 5 days in advance. So if your exam is more than 5 days from now, it will not show there yet. It only shows exams for the next 5 days. So once you've selected the date, you select on the exam module that you're going to be writing. The tool also now indicates what proctoring tool you will use, but we will have a look at how you can find out already what proctoring tool you're going to be using for your module. Once you click on the link, it will open up the myExams portal for your college, and there you log in with your myUnisa credentials. So please have your know your password for my modules. If you're using a browser that auto-completes your password, it will not generally necessarily auto-complete with the login page. So make sure that you can log in currently with your My Modules on a, say, in a private window, so that you know you've got the correct password for this. And if you have any problems, remember to always on My Admin, make sure that your biographical information is up to date. So with your latest mobile number, so if you have to, how can I say, claim a new password, that it will be sent to the correct mobile number. So once logged in, you will notice at the top where it generally says My Modules, it will now say myExams. From the drop-down, you just select the module that you want to be, that you're going to be writing, and it will open up this page just like a normal, how can I say, you be already familiar with this. This is how your module page looks like generally. So at the bottom, it will also have, for instance, the announcements, additional resources, but then usually at the bottom right is where you actually access your exam. So generally, there are 2 types of exams. The one is MCQ exams and the other one is a take-home exam. Now, the tools that's going to be used for the examinations, you will be already familiar with. If you did, for instance, a quiz, the MCQ type of online assessment or assignment, it's exactly the same tool, but there is some differences for the examinations that we will have a look at. And then the other one is the take-home exams. This uses the assignments tool. So generally, this is the one you would use where you write out, you download your question paper, you complete the question paper in Microsoft Word or on paper, and then you have to save it as PDF or scan it in and then submit on the portal. So let's quickly have a look on the page as well. How can you get all the information for the types of assessments? So as mentioned, there are 2 types of assessments, MCQ. So that means it's going to be using the quiz tool, and the take-home is going to be using the assignments tool. So conducting MCQ type of exams, it's very easy. You click on the page, it will give you the information for the exam. But note on this one, it has changed for the second semester. You are now only going to get 1 attempt. So previously they allowed, for instance, 2 attempts. Now it's only one attempt that you can do for this assignment. Now, the reason why they did this is so that a lot of students actually use this, try to push very quickly to do all types of attempts, all the attempts so that they can get the highest score. But the system does save your questions, so there's no need for us to have this second attempt anymore. So if, for instance, you writing your exam, you lose connectivity, you get logged out, for instance, once you're logged in, it will save where you've been, all your progress that you have done up to that point. So please just note, if you lose connectivity during this time, you're not going to lose any of the questions that you have already answered. You just go and continue with the attempt that you started. So on this page, you will generally also see that the proctoring is going to be used. So it will, for instance, give you this message, you must have a camera or a webcam. So remember, on your phone, you can just use your mobile phone camera. On a desktop, you will need a webcam or else a laptop, which is a working camera. But please make sure once you get to this page, there will be a pop-up. Make sure that you select allow for the camera. So once you read the information, where you can start, what's the time limit, then you can click on attempt quiz now. So once you click on attempt quiz now, it will open up the start attempt. For the proctoring, you will have to agree to the proctoring, and then from there you can click on start attempt. So the navigation for this, as I mentioned, we will have a look at this later when we get to the mock exam to give you just a real life demo of how it works. But generally, it works quite a lot like the normal quiz assignments that you have already done. So you will go through, how can I say, from question to question. A lot of the exam types, you won't necessarily be able to go back to a question. So don't go next, and then realize you can't go back to the previous question. You answer the question, you go to the next question. You answer the question. Once you have completed the question, you will not necessarily be able to go back to the question. And this is also part of just making sure how can I say, to promote the integrity of the examination, that you perhaps didn't get an answer from somebody and now you can go back and answer that question. So when you do this, please make sure that you answer the question and then click on next until you've finished all the questions for submission. So once you read the end of all the questions, you can click on the finish attempt. Apologies for that. So at the end, you just click on finish attempt, and this will give you another pop-up. So you just have to click on submit all and finish. So especially with these pop-ups, if you're going to be using a mobile device, do the mock exam, make sure that your mobile device does show these pop-ups. Some of the smaller screens, the pop-up might not necessarily show, so then you might have to turn your phone landscape mode so that you can actually see this information. But make sure once you click on finish attempt, you can select again, submit all and finish. And this will give you just a little summary page, when you started and once you completed, and then whether it's submitted successfully. So on the page, there's also a short video that will guide you through. So if you just want to quickly have a quick review, come and have the video that's available on the site. So the second one that generally you're going to get in the exams, and this is the take-home assignments. So this is the written exams. So here you have first log into the myExams portal, and then you download your question paper. So remember, if you're going to be using this take-home exams, if it's up to 4 hours, you will be proctored generally with the Invigilator app. So we will cover the Invigilator app later on as well. But please make sure that you come here first, download your question paper. When the time starts, you start the app, the Invigilator app, and then you complete this on your computer. So for instance, you might be using Microsoft Word. Once you're done with Microsoft Word, save it as a PDF document for uploading, and then you submit on the portal. So just to note, very importantly here is you have to submit on the myExams portal. So if you're using, for instance, the Invigilator app, it might ask you to scan in the pages, but you need to come back here and then upload the question paper, your answer sheet as well. So just some things to check out for is the file size limit. So once you click on this button, add submission, because you've now completed, you answered all the questions, you saved it as PDF, or you scanned in the pages that you used to write on. And now you're ready to come submit, but you have to just make sure that you tick the stop box. You know, this just a declaration that it's your own work. You have to then click on this file upload button, or you can drag and drop it into this box as well. But also click on this file submission button, you select the file from your computer and you upload it. But please have a look at this section over here. How many files can you upload? Generally, this will be one. So if you're scanning in pages, make sure it's in one PDF document and not multiple images that you're trying to submit. Also have a look at the file size limit. So just to make sure that your submission is below the file size limit. And at the bottom, it will give you the accepted file types. So generally, as mentioned, the best is to save it as a PDF document, because some of these other file types for your specific module might not be available. Then they will want you to submit this as a PDF document. So once you've uploaded the document, you selected the acknowledgement, and then you click on the Save Changes button. So it will give you this information submitted for grading. If you, this might not always be the green color, if you perhaps done it in the, how can I say, after the due date. Remember, you get the due time, but you also can get for 45 minutes afterwards to upload your assessment. Well, actually, it's now half an hour. So very importantly, if this is an exam that's running, say, from 10 to 12, the latest you can upload is 12:30. So you only get half an hour. And this comes very important with the proctoring as well. The proctoring tool only allows you 15 minutes to upload, to scan into the Invigilator app. We will cover that later, but you then get another 15 minutes just to upload to the exam portal. But note, this is not like the first semester where you had 1 hour. It's only now half an hour. Very important on this aspect. So once you submit it, please click on this document to make sure that you have uploaded the correct document. A lot of times when you submit, you do select perhaps the incorrect document, but once you've submitted, you can click on this link and then upload a new document. And if you find, oh, okay, I submitted the incorrect document, simply click on the Edit Submission button, then you delete the previous document that you uploaded, and then from there, you can then submit a new document. So these are the types of assessments that you can expect. There is some additional assessments, such as portfolios that you submit. We do not generally going to write the exam that you will then generally submit on your module site. But for the most part, you will be using or be getting either MCQ type of question or a take-home assessment. When we get to the proctoring tool, I'll show you where you can actually go have a look to make sure what type of assessment you're going to get for the examination and if you're going to be proctored for that exams. So before we continue to the proctoring tools, I'm just going to hand over to my colleague, Ingrid Marais, just to take you through why academic integrity is so important. Thank you. Over to you, Ingrid.
Thank you, colleagues, and thank you, students. I am just getting up my presentation quickly. There we go, and you should be seeing something. So academic integrity is really the lifeblood of a university, and that is why why we place so much emphasis on it. Students might not always understand the bigger picture of what we are talking about, and I'm here today to show you that bigger picture. And there we go. Sorry, it's a bit slow on my side. So at university, behaving with academic integrity is founded in certain personal values. These are honesty, trust, fairness, respect, responsibility, courage. And these are the foundations to become a scholar and future employee or employer who behaves with academic integrity. Practicing honesty means not only being honest with yourself, but also with other people. Those who are honest will promote the values of trust by preparing work that is thoughtful and original, showcasing your academic integrity by being fair. Acknowledge the work of others by appropriately referencing, and remember that your actions can have an impact on your fellow students. In being fair, you need to show respect for yourself and for others. Respect for self means tackling challenges without compromising your own values. Respect for others means valuing their diversity of opinions and their needs and goals. Take responsibility in your university life by standing up against wrongdoing, resisting negative peer pressure, and serving as a positive example, which means that you will need to have courage to follow through, holding yourself and others accountable. So what happens if a fellow student acts in a dishonest manner? At an individual level, students that act in a dishonest manner in their studies also act dishonestly in their workplaces. So if you are caught cheating at university, it could have serious consequences not only for yourself, but for others as well, students past, present, and future. What might seem like a small action can have a domino effect. Students that cheat give the university that they come from and the qualification that they come from a bad reputation. Employers may choose not to hire graduates from that university. Quality assurance bodies such as the Council of Higher Education and professional associations such as the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants may decide that the degrees from that university are not of an acceptable quality and decide to de-accredit the degrees. The result? Even students that do not cheat during the studies are in danger of having their degrees devalued because the university as a whole is devalued. Now, this is all well and good, but I still haven't given you some examples of academic dishonesty so that you can take action to protect your degree. There are many forms it can take. Let's start with contract cheating or ghostwriting. Some dishonest people are going to attempt to sell you the answers for exams. This is called contract cheating or ghostwriting. These people or services will get the exam through illegal means and dishonest people. They attempt to work out the answers and then offers these answers for sale. These people may even give students tips to try and fool their lecturers, such as changing the order of answers or making deliberate mistakes. But what also happens is that sellers will give the same answer script to more than one student. The result? There are always a few students who don't make any changes, and from these, the rest are found out. If you encounter this situation, report it to your lecturer or even anonymously to the whistleblower hotline that I will share later on. Linked to contract cheating is the act of buying or selling of an assessment. For ghostwriters to come up with the answers to exam papers, they first need to get access to these papers. It is a serious offence to buy or sell a question paper, and the university will take serious action against any person accused of this. Another form of contract cheating is asking or paying another person to write an exam on your behalf in real time. That person will attempt to present themselves online with your credentials. However, with UNISA's use of IRIS, the Invigilator Act, and Moodle proctoring software, we can determine if multiple assessments are being written from one location and even by the same person through webcam photos. Sharing answers are working together. Students often form study groups that are a wonderful source of both study and emotional support. However, some form groups where they help each other cheat, even without meaning to. Sitting together and working together as a group to answer questions is not allowed during the exams. The best way to avoid sharing answers is to make very clear rules amongst your study group. Act with trust and honesty, even when your lecturers can't see you. Plagiarism is when you use someone else's ideas without acknowledging them. This includes any source of information that you use in your exam answers: words, images, videos, music. If it doesn't come from your own head, it must be cited and referenced. Get into the habit of even referencing your textbook. All sources must be acknowledged at the end of your work as list of sources consulted or bibliography, and in your text as an in-text citation. I encourage you to register on UNISA's MOOC, where we have courses that instruct you how to avoid plagiarism and how to reference all sorts of different content. And one last example refers to the upload time at UNISA. That time is not part of your writing time. When your writing time is finished, so for example, your exam was scheduled from 8 till 12, you need to stop at 12 o'clock and save your work and upload your file as a PDF, or scan your handwritten answers into a PDF and then submit. Make sure the PDFs are accessible. It has no restrictions on it. You can test this before exams by saving a Word document as PDF and sending it to a friend to see if they can open it. The upload time is used by the university to help resolve any upload issues. If you choose to ignore this rule and continue to write only to experience a real issue in the dying minutes, be aware that the university will not, under any circumstances, accept your script outside of this upload time. So what does the university do? In online examinations, lecturers will normally be the first people to identify when a student is not acting with academic integrity. They will be alerted through special plagiarism detection software like Turnitin, or through the proctoring software like the Invigilator. These cases are reviewed by lecturers to determine if there truly was a transgression of academic integrity. What happens if they find some academic dishonesty has occurred? A first-year student writing an assignment, for example, is not as aware as plagiarism and how to avoid it, so they might only receive a written warning. However, being dishonest in an examination is considered a severe transgression, and the university response is much more serious. The lecturer will mark the script and flag it to the examination office. Student exams results will be released as showing results withheld pending a disciplinary hearing. This will remain the results status until the case is resolved. The student will be issued with a warning letter, which will inform them of the identified contravention of the student disciplinary code. When the lecturer reports the case, they put together an evidence file. This is everything that shows why they believe that a student has acted in a dishonest manner. Audio recordings of the students discussing the paper, geolocations of students writing together, sources of plagiarized info, or missing webcam photos varying identities, all examples of some of the evidence. Students who have not utilized invigilation or proctoring tools will also be deemed to have transgressed UNISA's examination rules. The students will then receive the evidence from the examination office and will be given a chance to respond to the allegations. The student will be required to respond within 5 working days from the date of communication from DSAA. The student's response will be forwarded to the disciplinary office for further action. If the student decides not to contest the charge, the matter is then closed as long as they are not found guilty of the same charge within the specified period of time. The student will be required to re-register for the module. If no response is received from the student within the specified times, the DSAA will inform the disciplinary office to commence with further action. If the student decides to dispute the allegation or where the alleged misconduct is considered as severe, the disciplinary office will investigate and gather additional information. Other academics will review the evidence and decide if there is a reason to instigate official disciplinary action. If not, your mark will be released. If a clear violation is found, you will be required to present yourself at a disciplinary hearing. In this hearing, a committee made up of academics from all the colleges hears all of the evidence and decides on the probability of evidence whether the student is guilty of having transgressed the student disciplinary code. The student has certain rights during the process, including being represented by a member of the SRC or another student. The student will also have the opportunity to see the evidence of misconduct and present their own evidence. The committee have looked at all evidence, then decide on whether the student is likely guilty, or if they are guilty, what sanction they will receive. If the student is unhappy with the outcome, they may take their case to the Student Disciplinary Appeals Committee. This committee is made up of other academics representing each college. Again, they will have the opportunity to present their case, and all of the evidence will again be considered. The committee then deliberates and makes a decision, and that decision is final. So what can happen if you are found to have acted unethically in the exam? Being found guilty of cheating or plagiarism means that you will fail the module. It also means that you do not qualify for a supplementary exam or a second opportunity because you do not have the necessary minimum to qualify. First-time offenders will be required to re-register the module. You can also receive a written warning. This written warning can also include a possible suspension from the university if you are found guilty of another offence during the same time. Written warnings will appear on your certificate of conduct that is part of your academic record. In other words, if you have to send a possible employer or another university or academic record, they will also be informed of the unethical behaviour. Students found guilty at a disciplinary hearing can have their module registration cancelled, forfeiting the money paid for the module, as well as being stopped for a period of time from registration. This can be anything from 1 semester, 1 year, or even 10 years. Very serious offences can lead to a lifetime ban. This means that you will not be able to complete your degree. In very serious cases, the university might decide to cancel all of the credits that you have accumulated for your degree. Or if you have been awarded a degree, they might decide to revoke your degree. Some degrees are linked to professional councils, and these professional councils have their own ethics code. If you are found guilty of offences at university, they might not register you with the council. Or if your degree is revoked, they might remove you from the professional council. In some cases, the university might work with the South African Police Service to institute criminal charges against you. If found guilty by a court of law, you might have a criminal record as well as land in jail. So what must you do? We have shared a lot of scary do's and don'ts with you up till now, and it might feel a little bit overwhelming. You might be asking yourself, how do I make sure that I don't by mistake transgress any of these rules? Here are some guidelines that you can try. Be an ethical person in all of your interaction. Remember the 6 values of academic integrity that we shared at the beginning? Honesty, trust, respect, responsibility, fairness, and courage. Make those the values that you live by. If you are faced with any situation, ask yourself whether your action might not only hurt yourself, but cause a domino effect on your friends and your university. Study something that you love and that is meaningful to you. If you love what you are studying, you will feel more connected and it will feel less tempting to cheat. Make your choices meaningful. Plan your time properly so that you have enough time to study. One of the biggest reasons that students give after being caught cheating is they just didn't have enough time to complete the work or study. Properly planning your studies and making sure to stick to the schedule will mean that you have enough time. Also be careful not to register for too many modules at once. Each 12-credit module requires 120 hours of work. Practice the skills that you need. Students may feel panicked because they feel they do not have the necessary skills to do well at university. These include computer and online skills, referencing and paraphrasing skills, and other technical skills. The answer to this is to practice those skills. Join our Academic Integrity MOOC so that you can learn some of these skills. Do our practice and mock exams on our exam website so that you can know what to do during the exam and so that you're not surprised. Ask for assistance if you're unsure. If you're not sure about a process, technology, or rule, you should contact your lecturer to find out what exactly they are looking for. Lastly, I know it can be hard, but courageousness is a huge part of academic integrity. Students that act dishonestly put all your hard work, along with the work and qualifications of all past and future students, at risk. And more of you choose the values of academic integrity, your qualifications are protected and you become a key player in securing your future work prospects. If you would like to report any instances of academic dishonesty, you can report it to your lecturer or to the whistleblower hotline that we've shared on screen. Thank you very much.
Ingrid. So now we get to the section that everybody stresses for the most part with, but I really want you to know that proctoring tools is not as scary as they sound. And if you prepare beforehand, make sure that your devices are working, do the mock exams. You do not need to worry about the proctoring tools. Then while you're writing your exams, you can rather focus on answering the questions instead of the tools that's being used. So with the proctoring tools, I'm just quickly going to share my screen with the actual page. So as we mentioned, with the exam integrity, it's very important that we ensure that the exams are conducted in a fair way, so that once you qualify, that qualification actually means something when you go to a workplace. So the proctoring tools, when it comes to proctoring tools, really think of it as, when you went to a physical exam venue, you used to have the invigilator walking around. They used to pause at your table, stare at what you are writing. You might get uncomfortable with that. So when it comes to the proctoring tools, it's the exact same experience. Now and again, it will take a picture just to make sure that it's you, or it might ask you to take a picture of your workspace, just to ensure that you are doing it in a fair way, answering truthfully the questions. So when it comes to the proctoring tools, there is 3 different types of proctoring currently being used at UNISA, and we will have a look at all of them now. So just to note, if it comes to MCQs, generally you're going to be using the Moodle proctoring, where you need a camera. If you're going to be using a take-home type of assessment, if it's less than 4 hours, then it's going to be most likely the Invigilator app. If you're with the College of Science, Engineering, and Technology, CSET, so that means you're doing computer sciences, engineering, any of those modules, you'll be using the Iris Invigilation. But before we get to the invigilating apps, I first also want to draw your attention that it is now a requirement that you upload your profile picture on myModules. Just a note here as well, so you're going to have to upload it on myModules. As we mentioned before, when you get to the exams, that's on a different portal. So that means your profile picture won't show on the myExams portal. It's only synced up later. But you have to upload your profile photo on myModules. So once you get to the exams, you log in, you don't see your profile picture, don't worry about it, as long as it just shows on myModules. So when you also select a profile photo, remember your face should be clearly visible. You can't, unfortunately, take a picture of your dog perhaps, or a group photo. It has to be a picture of you, front face, where your face is clearly visible, because this profile photo is used with the proctoring tools to identify you that you did write the examinations. So the steps to upload a profile photo is very easy. You just log into My Modules, go to My Modules 2022, and click on your profile name, and then on the profile button option that is displayed. On the edit profile page, or on the profile page, you'll have this button, edit profile. So you need to click on this edit profile button once you get to your profile page. On here, then there will be a section of general information. You have to just scroll down to use a picture. From here again, select the option. You can drag and drop a photo in here, or select a file from your device and then upload the picture from your device. As mentioned as well, use a photo that is either square or in landscape mode. Sometimes if you upload a picture that's in portrait mode, it tends to rotate the picture 90 degrees. So rather select a picture that is of you, or else you can crop it as well to a square, as that works the best. So upload the picture, or you can drag and drop it. Just make sure it's one of these file types, like normal JPEGs, PNGs. Generally, all photos comes with these generic file types. Once you have upload or chose a file from your computer, your profile picture will display. And then very importantly, you have to scroll down all the way to the bottom and then select Update Profile. And then instantaneously, it will show your profile picture on the top right. So please make sure to do this as soon as possible before the examinations, so that you can tick this off as well. If you are uncertain how to do this, there is also a video on the website or on the guides that will take you through it step by step, how to actually upload your profile picture. So please have a look at that as well. So how do you actually know what proctoring you're going to be using? So we've actually added a proctoring tool, lookup tool. It's on the website. So all you need to do is go to the guide, to the proctoring section. You can click on the what proctoring tool will I be using for my module. It's available under proctoring tools and at the bottom, because it's so important. If you've got the link to the essential tips for online examinations, you can also access the proctoring tool from here. So you can just click on this button on the guides, and then here you can type in your module code. So for instance, if it's INF 1501, say, we'll say INF 1505, then you can see this is going to be a MCQ type of assessment, but because it's part of the School of Computing, CSET, it's going to be using IRIS. If you've got a different module, for instance, such as ENG from the College of Human Sciences, you can see here, for instance, it's going to be a take-home assessment, Invigilator app. If it's a saved LPE NGTS, it's MCQ quiz, and it will be using Moodle proctoring. So the rule of thumb is generally, if you're in the College of Science, Engineering, and Technology, you're going to be using the IRIS invigilation. If it's a take-home examination, less than 4 hours, it's Invigilator app that you're going to be using. If it's an online MCQ type of assessment, the quiz tool, it's Moodle proctoring. So let's just have a look at the first one. Get started, and that's the Moodle proctoring. So the tool is called Moodle proctoring, but actually it just uses your camera on your device, and it takes a picture randomly every 30 seconds, in a time span of 30 seconds. So it doesn't take a picture of anything else, it's just through your webcam. So just make sure that if you're going to be using, for instance, a mobile device, that you are looking at your mobile device and that it's the front-facing camera that's being used. And if you're on a laptop or a desktop, make sure that the camera is clearly showing your face for the webcam. So the steps when it comes to Moodle proctoring is, if you're going to access the quiz or the MCQ type of assessment, you get a pop-up to ask allow camera. You have to allow your camera. So from there, so it's very easy steps. Once you click on the MCQ exam, the pop-up will come at the top to ask you to allow your camera. It will also give you this message to say that it is going to be using the webcam. So you need to click here, allow. If you accidentally click block, you have to go back onto the icon to say always allow for this site. So please make sure not to click block once this pop-up comes when you access the MCQ type of assessment. So from there, you do it exactly the same as you would do an MCQ or quiz type of assignment. You click on attempt quiz now. It will now show you this block where your picture is shown, your camera. You have to click agree with the validation process. Now, just a warning here for especially persons that's using iPhones. iPhone usually shows, some of the iPhones shows a black screen here where the camera is. So don't worry about it, it's still taking the pictures in the background. If you're using a laptop or a desktop, and you also get how can I say, a black image here, make sure that your laptop, for instance, the camera is not covered, you know, for that privacy slide that it has. And also, if it's still not working, use the camera tool in Windows. You can very easily, if you've got Windows 10, just type in camera, there is a camera app, and on the camera app, you can then just make sure that your camera is actually functional. So we did have a lot, we suddenly realized that the camera is actually broken on the device. So as mentioned, check these things way beforehand so you don't have to worry about it on the day of the examination. So if your picture is showing here, you can just click I agree with the validation process. You can click on start attempt. And from there you complete it as you would do a normal quiz assessment. As mentioned, there might be some differences. We only can go do one question at a time. You can't go back. But you complete all the questions until the end, and then you just submit the MCQ assessment. You do not need to do anything else. As soon as you get to this stage where you have to click I agree with the validation process and your camera is showing, you know you are good to go. You do not have to worry about any additional proctoring aspects from then on. So if you also just want to get a video on how to quickly get started, how it works, the video is also available on the guides, so please have a look at that as well. So for the next one is the Invigilator app. As we mentioned, that is for the take-home type of exams. And for that, I'm going to hand over actually to the Invigilator app developer team. It's here to support you. So I'm going to be handing over to Erica. Welcome, Erica.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Good morning, students. I'm going to spend about 10 or 15 minutes just taking you through some important aspects with regards to the Invigilator app. I'd like to share my screen with you. Let me just get to the right place. So the first thing that you need to understand is in order for you to download the Invigilator app, all you need is an entry-level smartphone. So it is not necessary to have the latest Apple or Samsung device. And this solution was built specifically for the South African market, bearing in mind all the restrictions that we deal with, of which the foremost one is obviously load shedding. So ladies and gentlemen, just to explain to you how the connectivity works with regards to the Invigilator app. So you will need an internet connection right at the beginning of your assessment so that you can scan the QR code. So that happens within seconds. The moment that you've scanned the QR code, the app then runs locally on your phone. That means that you don't use any data and you don't need an internet connection either. Once the end of the assessment has been reached, you will then be asked to take a photo of each of your answer sheets, and you'll be given 10 minutes to do that. And then you are expected to upload your data that we've collected to our database again. So you only need an internet connection at the end of the assessment again in order to facilitate the upload. So ladies and gentlemen, just important, while our upload is not time sensitive, it is a requirement of UNISA that you do upload your invigilated results within 48 hours after the start of your assessment. So if you reach the end of your assessment and you realize I don't have an internet connection, you have 48 hours as from the beginning of the assessment to upload your results. I'm not going to take you through everything of the Invigilator. I just want to highlight the most important functionalities so that you understand what will be happening while you're in an assessment. And whilst this might seem like quite a lot, you really don't need to worry. The Invigilator app is not intrusive and it will not take away your focus in the exam. The vast majority of our checks take place automatically in the background without you even knowing about it. So when you register on the Invigilator app, it will ask you to take a master selfie. Please make sure that this selfie is done in good light, that you don't have a hat or a mask on. If you wear glasses, you're more than welcome to keep your glasses on. Then at randomized periods during your assessment, you will then be asked to take another selfie, and we then use artificial intelligence to compare the selfie that you take with your master selfie. Please take note that we also have a beta liveness test. That means it has to be a real-time selfie that you're taking. You cannot take a photo of a photo. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we have voice recordings. So these audio recordings again take place at randomized intervals during the assessment. You won't even be aware of it. Please don't worry if you live in an environment where it's quite noisy. So let's say there's a lot of traffic or construction, because these audio recordings only detect human speech, right? So some students are worried and they say, maybe I'm writing at home. What if my mum comes into the room and she asks if she can make me a cup of tea? Will that be picked up by the voice recording? Yes, of course it will, but it is important for you to know that these voice recordings are listened to after the assessment, and it's only when the content of the paper is being discussed that that is seen as a transgression. Also, please take note that if you are trying to cover your microphone by maybe putting on some press stick or hiding it below a pillow, that's not going to help, because the audio recordings also detect sound waves. And so if in any way you're trying to block your microphone, that will be seen as a transgression as well. Then, ladies and gentlemen, you might also be asked for additional photos. For example, to take a photo of your student card or your ID card. So at the start of the assessment, make sure that you've got it with you so that you don't have to start searching for it once the prompt appears. We will also be doing a GPS location mapping. This happens automatically. And what we do is we then draw a report for your lecturer which indicates which students wrote in very close proximity. Again, I don't want you to worry. We do know that students live in student accommodation or in residences, and so it happens quite often that students write in very close proximity. So that is not a transgression in itself, but typically what will happen is that we draw a report for your lecture which we indicate which students wrote in close proximity, and those scripts are marked directly after one another. And obviously the lecturer and the marker is on the lookout for possible copying that might have taken place. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have a built-in browser. So this is a functionality that you'll only use if you have only one device. So in other words, you only have a smartphone and you don't have access to a laptop or a desktop as well. So if you only have a single device, i.e. your smartphone, you will see that once you've scanned the QR code, there is a small button that says Access LMS. Now, LMS stands for Learner Management System. And if you click on that button, that will take you to your login page on UNISA site. And from there on, you can navigate yourself to your assessment and download it from there. Ladies and gentlemen, with your take-home assessments, we'll also be requiring of you to do a script upload at the end of your assessment, just to explain how that will work. Once your assessment time ends, you will automatically then be asked to take photos of each answer sheet, and for that you're given 10 minutes. Once that's done, obviously, all of your Invigilator data has to be uploaded to our database, and for that you then have 48 hours as from the start of your assessment. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, you are not allowed to minimize or to close the app at any point during an assessment. And you will see that you get a reminder each time you scan a QR code that that is the case. So please take note that the only reason why you will be exiting or minimizing the app is if you need to send a WhatsApp to our help desk because you are experiencing technical difficulties. So that's the only reason why you can leave the app. We track all the out of app time and we then report it back to the lecturer, so the lecturer knows exactly at which time you left the app and at which time you entered back into the app. Right, that's the first part of my presentation, ladies and gentlemen. I do want to take you through a few other things. Let me just quickly find the correct screen again. Give me a moment. There we go. I'm going to share my screen again. Right, so if you click on lesson 3, proctoring tools, you then want to click on the Invigilator app. And on this site, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to find absolutely all the information that you need relating to the Invigilator app. I am not going to go through everything, but there are a few things that I think is worth highlighting for you. So first of all, it's very important that you know when the Invigilator app will be used. And as explained earlier on in the session, UNISA has their own site where you can navigate and find out whether your assessment will use the Invigilator app. The Invigilator app also has a similar function. So if you click on this grey section which says click if your module uses the Invigilator app, that will then take you through to our site where you can enter your module name and that will indicate to you whether you need to use the Invigilator app or not. Then, ladies and gentlemen, how do you download and register on the Invigilator app? So it will depend on your device. If you have an Android device, you'll download the app from Google Play. If you've got an Apple device, from the Apple App Store. And if you have a Huawei device who does not have access to Google Play, you will find the Invigilator app in the Huawei app gallery. So once you've downloaded the app, you will then obviously register on the app. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes if a student tries to register, they receive an error message that the email address has not been recognized by the institution. That is not the case. You probably made an error when you typed in your email address, but if you do get that error message, please do not reach out to your lecturer, but reach out to our technical help desk. I want to emphasize the fact that any technical issues relating to the Invigilator app should never ever be reported to a lecturer because the lecturer is unable to assist you. So any problems relating to the Invigilator app, whether it is I'm struggling to download it or I'm struggling to register, or if you experience a technical problem during an assessment, you have to reach out to our help desk. That's the only way in which we can verify whether you have a real technical issue or not. So if you're not going to report it to our help desk and you email a lecturer later on stating, I was unable to upload or download, that will not be an acceptable excuse because the lecturer is unable to verify whether it actually was a real technical issue. Then, ladies and gentlemen, on the screen, you're going to see a link to a video. It's about 7.5 minutes long, and in a very nice visual, interactive way, it demonstrates to you exactly how to use the Invigilator app. So I think that that's quite an important video for you to have a look at. Just below the video, ladies and gentlemen, in grey, you will see that we've got the Invigilator app student user guide. So if I click on that, I'm not going to go through the entire document. It's 20 pages long, I know. However, it reads extremely easy. So if you put aside 10 to 15 minutes, that's more than enough for you to familiarize yourself completely with the app. Ladies and gentlemen, very important, on page 6 of your student user guide, you're going to see the number of our help desk. So I'm reminding you that when it comes to our help desk, you are unable to place a call to the help desk. It is a WhatsApp help desk only. Now, the benefit, obviously, of it being a help desk that runs on WhatsApp is you can send us a video, a screenshot, a voice note explaining to us what your technical difficulty is, and then trained agents on our side will assist you within minutes. I also want to highlight on page 8, you're going to find a QR code under the heading Demo Test. Let me reassure you, this is not a test. We're not testing anything, but it is an 8-minute demonstration of what the app requires of you during an assessment. So it simulates the experience that you would have during an assessment. I can't stress enough, ladies and gentlemen, how important it is for you to download, register, and perform the demo test at least 3 to 4 days prior to your assessment. If you do that, 99% of all issues are always solved. The problem comes in if students try to download, register, and then perform their assessment at the same time. So do yourself a favor and please perform this demonstration. You will see that this QR code can be scanned multiple times. So usually once is enough, but if you want to have that experience again, just to make sure you're ready, you can always scan the QR code a second time. Right, I want to go back to the main screen. And a few other things that I just want to talk about. So you'll also again see our help desk number here. And again, I'm reiterating that you've got to remember that it is a WhatsApp help desk only. And then finally, at the bottom of the screen, ladies and gentlemen, is our frequently asked questions document. So if you feel that there's still 1 or 2 questions that you might have, you are more than welcome, obviously, to reach out to that. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop sharing. So that is the formal part of my presentation. If you have any other questions, you are more than welcome to reach out in the Q&A section. Thank you very much, everyone. Best of luck for your upcoming assessments.
Thank you, Erica. So students, yes, please remember, do this, set up the Invigilator app. If you're going to be using the Invigilator app as soon as possible, do the demos that the app provides, and also do the mock exams that we will show later. Also, just remember, make sure that you are going to be using the Invigilator app. If you're going to be not going to be using the Invigilator app, you will get an error when you try and register with your MyLife email account. So also, very importantly, to use your MyLife email when you register, and not your personal Gmail address for the app. And remember, the password is separate. So when you register, remember the password that you're going to be using. Okay, so the next one that we're going to be covering is the iris invigilation. And I will hand over to my colleague David to just run through the iris invigilation presentation. So iris currently is just for CSET, College of Science, Engineering and Technology. So if you're College of Science, Engineering, Technology, you will not be using any of the other invigilations. You will only be using the iris. But I also want to caution students from College of Accounting Sciences. In the future, some of your modules will also be using iris. So also take note of how this app works. So I'll hand over to David for the iris presentation. Thank you. David, we don't have any sound on our side.
Sorry, students, let me try again quickly.
Hello students, and welcome to this presentation on the iris invigilation system. iris is a proctoring system that is used in CSET, which is the College of Science, Engineering and Technology, and consists of all science modules, engineering modules and computing modules. Please note that even though you may not be a CSET student, you could possibly be doing one of the CSET modules. And for this upcoming examinations, all CSET modules are IRIS proctored. Please make sure to double check on the proctoring tool whether any of your modules are IRIS proctored or not. So what is IRIS? IRIS Invigilation is a software program that helps provide UNISA staff with assurance of assessment integrity during online and remote assessment. IRIS records audio, video, and computer screen activity for the duration of a test or exam. It analyzes this information using machine learning and automatically flags potential academic dishonesty. How does IRIS work? When IRIS is active, it will be recording a video of you captured through your computer's web camera. It will also be recording sound from your computer's microphone. Every few seconds, it will take a screenshot of whatever is showing on your computer screen. This is a list of necessary equipment for the proper use of IRIS. You need a stable internet connection. You need a laptop or desktop. Your laptop or desktop needs an external or built-in microphone. You cannot use a headset. You need a web camera. We recommend that the minimum specifications for your computer to be 4 GB RAM and Windows 7 64-bit. Before completing any exam using IRIS, you must have IRIS installed on your laptop or desktop. IRIS is a plugin that is installed on a browser. You can use either Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. The preferred browser is Google Chrome. Before installing the plugin, make sure you have the latest version of the browser you are using. To install the plugin on Google Chrome, first navigate to the Google Chrome Web Store. You can do this by searching for the Google Chrome Web Store on your browser and then going to the Web Store. Once you have opened the Chrome Web Store, search for IRIS. Choose the IRIS extension and then click Add to Chrome. This is the window that will pop up next. You can click on Add Extension and IRIS will be added as a plugin onto your browser. You are now ready to write your examination using IRIS. To write your examination, you first open Google Chrome, you log on to the examination site for your module. IRIS is activated when you access your assessment on the myExams portal. Follow the IRIS instructions carefully and then start your examination. IRIS is a browser pop-up. So when you open an assessment that is IRIS invigilated, this is the first screen that you will see. You need to agree to the terms and conditions. You do not have to consent for use of data for research and product development. After clicking the first box, you can click on Continue. If the browser shows pop-ups asking permission to access your camera and microphone, please click on Allow to proceed using the plugin. An IRIS video will start playing to guide you through the setup process. You will need to select a webcam and microphone device, fill in your name, student number, and then click Next. Please type in your student number correctly. Do not use your ID number. The next step in the process is to capture your ID. You can use either your student card, driver's license, ID book, or passport. Hold your student card or driver's license or ID book or passport clearly in front of your webcam. Click on the Capture ID button. Once you have successfully taken a clear picture of your student ID card, click on Next. IRIS will give more instructions and show you that the face detection technology is working by drawing a square around your face. Your initial setup is now completed. Click the Start Invigilation button. Before invigilation commences, you need to share your screen. IRIS will ask you to share your screen. Please click on the little copy of your screen window. Once you click on this little copy of your screen, this share button, which is initially gray, will turn purple. Then you will be allowed to click on it and your screen will be shared. You can now minimize Iris, open your test and start writing. When you are done with your test, you can submit. Iris will now upload your session recording files and close automatically. Please note that if your assessment is a quiz rather than a file upload, then it will require a password. You should not fill in the password yourself. Iris will do it for you. If the password is not filled in automatically, it means that Iris has not been activated correctly, and you may need to restart Iris and ensure that it is activated correctly. Good luck with your exam.
Okay, thank you, David. So everyone, so that gives you a good overview of all the proctoring tools that you're going to be using. So I just want to, before we get to the mock exams, just have a look at the required devices. Because as you see, these proctoring tools do need access to, for instance, microphones, cameras, all of these type of aspects. So what do you need to be ready for the online exams in terms of the device that you're going to be using? So for Invigilator app, you will need a smartphone, and especially if you're going to be using, for instance, the smartphone for MCQ type of assessments, it must preferably not be older than 5 years. Make sure that your operating system is also up to date and that you can access the internet from the device and you have enough space for the proctoring tool. So especially when you have to, for instance, with the Invigilator app, have to take pictures, all of that that gets saved to your phone. Make sure that you've got enough space for the app and any images that it needs to take. And make sure that it's got a working camera, microphone, and sound. Because remember, these the Invigilator app does make give you a sound indication when you need to take selfies. So make sure that that is working. So if you're going to be using the Invigilator app, remember you need a mobile device, but you can still do your take-home assessment on your computer. If you are going to do, for instance, the MCQ, or you're going to be using the Iris app, Invigilation app, then you need a computer or a laptop. And these devices preferably needs to have Windows 10, have a modern internet browser, like for instance, Microsoft Chrome or Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, and make sure that it's got a working camera or webcam, microphone, sound, and Wi-Fi. Also, when it comes to, for instance, the sound, remember you cannot use headphones. You need to have speakers for the device. So you can't have anything on your head while you're actually doing the examinations. So please download these apps as soon as possible, test the devices, and make sure that the device you are using is compatible with everything that you need. And also just remember, it's access to these devices. So you don't necessarily need to own these devices. You can always borrow a laptop or a smartphone for the examinations. So let's have a look at the mock exams. So the mock exams are there to help you to prepare and make sure that all your devices are working correctly in preparation for the examination. So I'm actually going to quickly open up the page again. So under proctoring tools, if you go to the guides, you can just go down to lesson 8. That's the mock exams. There is a mock exam that covers for MCQ and take-home exams. So all you need to do is open this, click on this open mock exam site. So this is also on my modules. So you will stay on my modules. Now, just for some initial steps, if you have not logged in, it will ask you just to log in again. So you log in with your myNISA credentials. The first time that you access this, you need to click on the Enroll Me button. So this is the same for the My Exams guides. you will also get this Enroll Me button. So for the mock exams, you also need to click on this one. And then from there, you can select which one do you want to test. So you do get multiple attempts, so you can try them multiple times to make sure that everything is working. So we do not have a mock exam for IRIS. They've got their CSET got their own web portal where they do these mock exams. So if you're from College of Science, Engineering, Technology, please look out for the communication from your college when that mock exam becomes available. But for the MCQ and the take-home exam, you can go to the mock exams and complete these ones. So if we go and open up one of these, so let's open up the mock exam site. So as mentioned, at the bottom, there is two types of examinations, the MCQ. So if you went through the Invigilator lookup tool, proctoring lookup tool, and you see, okay, you're going to be using MCQs only, then you can come and do the MCQ. Maybe one of your modules also has a take-home exam, then you can come and test the Invigilator app. But remember, if you are not going to be using the Invigilator app, you will not be able to register on the app, as the licenses are only provided to those that are actually going to be using the app for the examination. If you're perhaps a student with special needs that's not going to be using any of the proctoring, you can come and do the mock exams on here as well. And then we also, if you have a special one for decision sciences, where they ask mathematical questions in the MCQ type of assessment, you can do this one as well. It's also got the proctoring added to it. So let's have a look at the MCQ type of assessment. So remember, the first time that you access it, will ask you to allow for your camera. So make sure that you click that button to allow your camera. Also, you have to click on this button at the top to allow the camera again. As you can see on this one, it's you get 10 attempts that you can use for this one, for the mock exams. But remember, for the real examinations, it will only be one. So you won't be able to do multiple attempts. So you remember to look at when it opens and closes. This one is open all the way to 10 December, so you still got a lot of time to kind of practice. And this message over here, indicating the webcam, this indicates that we're going to be using Moodle proctoring. So the time limit for this one is 1.5 hours, and then you can just start with the attempt at the bottom or restart an attempt. So the first thing you need to do is make sure that your camera is working, and then you can click this box, I agree with the validation process, and then start, also note the time limit on the assessment, and then we can start our attempt. So remember, you answer each question as you work through the assessment. You have to do one question and go to the next page. The previous page, as you can see on this one, will not necessarily be on your examinations. So you go through all the MCQ questions as you would have done with your quiz assignments as well. And then at the end, you will be asked to finish your attempt. So once you're happy with all your questions, you click on Finish Attempt. Then it will indicate you all the questions that you've answered. Maybe you skipped one along the way, but it will just give you an overview. So from here, you will then have to click on Submit All and Finish. And remember this pop-up that comes up as well, especially if you're doing this on a mobile phone. Make sure that you are able to click on this pop-up, especially for devices with smaller screens. So once you click Submit All or Finish, you click it again, and then it will indicate to you that you have submitted your attempt successfully. So that is for the MCQ that uses the Moodle proctoring. So we've also got, if you're going to be using or be having a take-home exam, there's instructions over here. So read the instructions. It works just like a normal examination paper, where you then have to scan in the QR code with the Invigilator app. So really, when you do this, do it like almost like you would do in a real examination. You log in, you start the Invigilator app, you download your question paper, you save it to your computer or your device. Read the questions and then complete it, for instance, in Microsoft Word. and then save it as a PDF document, or you scan in the papers that you've got, that you wrote on. Just a note here that question that we get quite a lot is, now you've got the Invigilator app running, it's going to prompt you to take a selfie. At the end, you then have to scan your scripts. What happens if you did your examination on your computer? Perhaps use Microsoft Word. Just take a picture of each screen. Make sure you scroll down in the document, make sure that you captured everything on the screen. So although it says scan in, so you generally will think, oh, okay, I have to scan in paper. Remember, you can also just take pictures of your computer screen or the Invigilator app. But remember, so once you scanned it in the script for the Invigilator app, you come here to add your submission. So I've now, for instance, already started the app. I completed everything in Microsoft Word that I needed. I've saved it as a PDF. And now I've scanned in my scripts with the Invigilator app. And now I have to submit on the exams portal. So you just simply come here, add submission. As mentioned, you first have to tick this box, the submission is my own work. And then you'll notice also, okay, there's a file size limit of 50 megabytes. So my document is good. It's only one file that I can upload. So I can not upload multiple files. It has to be combined into one document. And for this one, it only allows for PDF documents. So I know my document must be a PDF document. So I'll just come here simply and click add. I'll choose file from my computer. I'll scan to a specific document that I want to upload. So here, quickly just upload a demo. Right? Yeah. There we go, sample PDF. So I've selected the PDF document because that's the only format that's allowed for this one. And then I just click on upload this file. So you do not need to change any of this other information here. You just choose the file from your device and then click on upload this file. And the file will then display over here. So remember, you can double click this document as well, just to, if you perhaps got the incorrect one, and delete it and upload a new one. But once I'm happy, I've checked the box, the document is uploaded, I click on Save Changes. So this will submit the document, and you will get the message that it has been successfully uploaded, and it will have this link over here so that you can check, okay, is this the correct document that I have uploaded on this site. But so I now open this document and I realize, wait, I've submitted the wrong file. You can always click on Edit Submission. This is only available while you're still within the upload period. And then you can double click this document, delete it, and upload a new document. And then just click on Save Changes again. So please, we'll put in the links in the chat as well, direct link to the mock exams. But please complete them as soon as possible to make sure that your devices are working correctly. So the mock exams, as mentioned, is also available on the guides under lesson 8, where you can go and upload the guides from there. So please do this as quickly as possible. Get it out of the way so that you don't have to stress for the examinations, and you only focus on, how can I say, learning your material and being ready for the day. For now, I'm going to hand over to Salosh, Dr. Govender, just to also introduce you to some online assessment skills that might be worthwhile to have, to especially approach different types of questions so that you make sure, even though you know your information, you are answering it correctly. Thank you, Salosh. Over to you. Salosh, you're muted. Oh, there we go. Salosh, we still can't hear you from on our side. You are unmuted.
Okay.
There you go.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Salosh Govender, and I will be providing you with some practical tips and tricks on how to ace your online exams. Colleagues, have you ever felt frustrated, anxious thinking about preparing for your exams? Have you ever felt that the marks you received did not reflect the amount of work or effort you put in? Does it feel like that you can only remember a small section of work that you are studying? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, you will definitely benefit from this presentation. Many students begin to feel overwhelmed as the exams are approaching. And students, we just want to reassure you that this is perfectly normal. Anyway, exams are challenging, and especially if you think that you are now transitioning to online exams. So we are here to provide you with some practical tips and tricks on how to cope with different types of exam questions. So firstly, we would like you to know that there are two formats of your assessment. One being the online assessment, where you will work directly on the online platform. For example, your randomized multiple choice questions. Then we have what we call the file upload. Now, if you are writing an exam that requires the file upload, what it means is that you will have to first download the exam paper, complete it offline, and upload it again. Then you will see that whether you are writing the online assessment or the file upload assessment, you will encounter different types of questions. For example, in the file upload type of exams, you might encounter short questions, essay questions, case-based scenarios, or problem-based questions. So in this presentation, I'm going to provide you some practical tips on how to answer the different types of questions. The exam format will be communicated to you via your lecturer. So whether it is your online assessment or your file upload type of assessment, you need to start reading your questions very carefully. Then you need to plan your answers, and then you need to know what the mark allocation is. This is going to help you to ensure that you complete your assessments holistically. Okay. So, colleagues, before I go on to the different types of assessment, I want to briefly explain continuous assessment. Reason being that you may have applied to study different modules in a year. Some of your modules may have exams, and then you may be wondering, why is it that some of the modules do not have exams? Well, those modules that do not have exams, it could be a case that you are following what we call a continuous assessment strategy. Now, what does a continuous assessment strategy means? It is a strategy which includes a series of graded and non-graded assessments throughout your year or your semester period. What this means is that you will be having a number of learning activities, which we call formative assessments. And you'll notice that those learning activities are not graded, which means that there is no scores for that. On the other hand, you may have noticed that if it is a semester module, you may have between 4 to 6 assessments, and those assessments or assignments are graded or scored. Right, so those the number of assessments that you have is going to accumulate into your final year mark. So that is what continuous assessment entails. So continuous assessment is an alternative to a single summative exam which carries a bigger weighting. And the non-graded assessments, that is the learning activities that you are engaging in, it does not contribute to your final mark, but it is used to help you to perform better in your graded assessments. right? And the reason why we have opted for continuous assessment is because we want to ensure that students work consistently from the beginning of the year. And this provides early indicators of students' performance, that is, in what areas you need help or intervention. So all formal assessments are weighted and contributes towards the final mark. So those of you who are whose module follows the continuous assessment strategy, remember there will be no exams. Then on your exam timetable, it will be indicated as module arrangement, right? And then you'll know that there is no exams because your module is following a continuous assessment strategy. Now, before you start writing your exams, you need to prepare. Preparation is the key to success, as we all know. And by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. This is a quote by Benjamin Franklin. So, as you prepare for your exams, you need to become familiar about your assessment. Are you writing an online exam on the online platform, or is it going to be a file upload type of exams? Then you need to apply effective studying skills. Remember, do not give too much of time or attention to just one module at the expense of your other modules. You need to develop a study plan so that you give equitable time to all your modules so that you can pass well. Then remember that you practice your questions. So you'll find that there are a number of learning activities in your study guide. Make sure that you practice those questions. Also engage in the discussion forum. So colleagues, I would like you to practice this exercise. This exercise will help you to organize your studies so that you give adequate time to all your modules, especially if you have enrolled for more than one module. Right, so in a table, just draw 3 columns, list all the modules that you have registered for, and write down the exam dates, the time, and the format of your assessment. This will help you to become familiar with your exam times, with your exam dates, with the format of your exam. Many students often do not know whether they are writing an exam in the online platform directly or whether it's a file load type of exam. Then the next practice exercise is you need to get very familiar with the module outcomes, because that is where your assessment comes from. So you need to look at your study guide, read all the module outcomes, because this will help you to understand the level of difficulty of your module as well as your assessments. Right. For example, if you look at your module outcomes, you will look at the key verbs there, whether the outcomes expect you to discuss, to explain, to analyze, to evaluate, or to report. Right. You'll notice that some of the action verbs, which we call task words, in a question will expect you to answer your questions at a much higher cognitive level, while some modules will expect you to answer at much lower cognitive level. So you need to know now at what cognitive level your module is pitched before you start preparing for your exams. Another very good practice exercise is look at the headings of your module or your learning units or your lessons. Look at the titles of the subsection and then try formulating your own practice questions, right? Based on the title and the outcomes. And this is a very, very, very good practice exercise. Now, let us look at what are short type of questions. Now, a short type of question will require a concise written answer to a question using complete sentences. often we find that if there's a short type of question, students do not look at the mark allocation and they tend to write lengthy answers, right? Where we cannot even see whether the students have understood the question and whether they're really responding to what the question asks you to respond to. Right, so a short question type, it usually takes a form of a brief question that requires a written answer, normally no more than a few sentences. Sometimes a full paragraph is required, but not more than that. Okay, so here you'll be guided by the mark allocation. It mainly focuses on knowledge and understanding of terms and concepts of the subject. Right, this is very important. So if you know that you are going to have short questions in your exams, know now that it is going to focus on key concepts, key terminologies, and understanding of the theories. Okay, so here are some strategies for answering short questions. Okay, you can use this template for preparing for your short answers. So you need to look at your unit notes, right, and look at the different type of concepts that are being introduced in your module. So make a list of all the key concepts and terminology related to each lesson within your module. The next important thing for you to do is to understand what these key concepts or terminologies mean, and try to write these, the understanding of these concepts in your own words so that you remember. Okay. The third is issues that need to be explained or clarified. Here, it means that if you look at a certain concept, what are the key issues in that concept that needs to be clarified? So just make a list of the key concepts within the concept or terminology. Next, try to give an example to demonstrate your understanding of that concept or terminology. So if you can do this here, if you can write down the meaning of the concept in your own word, and if you can provide an example, then it shows that you have a very good understanding and you'll be able to provide a clear understanding in your examination. For example, now, look at this question here, right? What is meant by the term foreign direct investment? Describe the difference between the flow of foreign direct investment and the stock of foreign direct investment. So this question here has two parts, right? So first, divide the question if needed. Next, underline the key words in the question, right? Underline the keywords. This is very important because it means that you are going to answer the question as required. Next, highlight or circle the task words. The task words are the verbs, for example, discuss, evaluate, describe the difference between, and so forth. And lastly, make sure that you consider the keywords highlighted in the question as well as the task words when you are answering the question. And remember, a good short answer in an exam specifically answers the question in the first sentence. The rest of the paragraph is used to explain your answer. Okay. Now, let us look at what is a case study question. A case study question is a scenario in a particular professional context. Now, colleagues, you may wonder why is it that we include case-based studies in your exams. This is very important because it is a call from the Department of Higher Education and Training that all higher education institutions try to transform the curriculum so that it is made relevant for the student and it relates to what happens in the workplace. So in a case-based study, it requires students to analyze, guided by specific questions which are related to the situation. It requires students to identify a problem and the issues in the scenario. It requires students to demonstrate the knowledge of theories. So if you have a case study now, there's always an issue or a problem embedded in the case study. Normally, a case study will relate to what happens in the professional world of work. So if you encounter a case study in your exams, here are some strategies or processes that you need to follow when you are answering the case study. Firstly, try to identify the problem or the issue in the case that is presented. Next, what are the possible solutions that can be used to address that problem? And the third one is, there may be several solutions, but what is the best solution? And based on the solution, what are the recommendations? So basically, a case study question will always ask you to identify the issue or the problem, to find some solutions, and to propose recommendations. Now, these are the steps when you are answering a case-based studies. What background facts influence the current problems referred to in the question? Remember, you read the case study, then you'll see, okay, there's a lot of background information that's been provided, and then you'll find the problem or the issue. So the background information is important, okay? What are the constraints or obstacles of the situation? Then step 2 now, you will go back, you'll reread the case study. You will summarize or you will list the issues and the problems in your own words. You will try to sort out the major problems from the minor problems. You will try to identify evidence that relates to the problem, identify the cause of the problem. Maybe the background will give you some indication of what caused the problem. And then useful strategy is to represent the problem and the relationship as a mind map. So you will, to understand the case study properly, just draw a mind map, right, to plot down important and significant points. Then, once you understand the case study, go back and think about the theory in your study material. Now, when I'm talking about theory, I'm not necessarily talking about Piaget's theory or Vygotsky's theory, but theory, I mean the theoretical knowledge or the content knowledge in your module. See how this problem relates to the content of your study unit. Match the appropriate content to the problem. Now, try to explain how the content relates to the problem. It could be a theory like Piaget or Vygotsky, or a theory that's applicable to your module, but it could also relate to any other content in your module. Then identify the potential solutions to the problem. If more than one solution, then try to evaluate the advantages and the disadvantages of all the solutions that you have before you come up with the final solutions that's going to help you to come up with recommendations. So your multiple choice questions now. Now we move on to multiple choice questions. What are multiple choice questions? A multiple choice question includes a statement or a question followed by 4 or 5 choices. You must select the best answer from the choices given, and sometimes selecting the best answer is often not a straightforward process, but it can be challenging. Now, at UNISA, because we want to protect the academic integrity of your assessments, we have resorted to what we call randomized MCQ. This means that every student will get a different type or different questions, because we do not want students to pass on answers to their peers or to their colleagues. Right, you'll find that the answers and the questions will be randomized, and every student will get a unique set of exams. Okay, but please do not feel anxious about this. All the questions are going to relate to your outcomes. So there's going to be no question that is unrelated to your learning outcomes. Okay. So now let us look at what strategies we can use when we are answering MCQs. Firstly, read the multiple choice question in its entirety before glancing over at the options. Right. After reading a question, answer it in your own, answer the questions in your mind before reviewing the answer options. Right. Then you go and you look at the answer options. When you look at the options now, use a strategy, what we call eliminating. So eliminate the answer options which you are 100% sure are incorrect before selecting the answer you believe is correct. Right. Using the process of elimination by crossing out all the answers you know are incorrect, then focus on the remaining answers. In this way, you're going to be left with fewer options, which you may consider guessing as a last resort. It's important to select the best answer to the question being asked. You might, after elimination, you might be left with 2 options, right? And you might think, oh, which of these 2 are correct? Then you will use the strategy of true and false. Read and see, okay? And often, if you are not 100% sure, you read the options again, reading every answer option before choosing the final answer. If it will not count against your score, make an educated guess for any question you are unsure about. It is best to stick with the answer you first chose after reading the question. Then complete your MCQs online using the quiz tool, right? And if it was your assignment, you'll notice that your quiz tool will give you immediate automated feedback. But because it's exams, all results will be released when the exam results are being released at that time. Right. Now, let us look at what are essays. Now, essays are usually much longer type of questions. They require a longer response. It could be 2 to 3 pages, but follow the guidelines there. Now, with an essay, you will also have what we call a rubric. Now, the rubric will guide you on how you're going to be assessed. So if you have an essay question, you need to read the essay question very carefully. You need to be able to analyze the question, right? So as you analyze the question, highlight the key words and the key topics in the question itself. Work out what aspects of the topic you have been asked to write about, right? Then you'll see that some of the essays will require low order thinking and some will require high order thinking. Now, if you look at high order thinking, it will have words such as analyze, evaluate, synthesize, and so on. But whatever the essay is, the important point is you need to be able to develop an argument around the topic. That is why it's called an essay. No essay would expect you to regurgitate or reproduce what's in your study material. Right. Then it's important for you to consider how you are structuring your essay. Normally, it's one idea per paragraph. Right. So if you write as one idea per paragraph, it means that you are writing your essay in a very coherent manner. Right. And the last point with regard to an essay type of assessment is you need to structure. Remember that all essays will have what we call an introduction, followed by the body, which can include a number of paragraphs, and then a conclusion. Right. Finally, colleagues, I want to wish you every success and good luck with your exams. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samosh. A lot of information. So I hope it benefits you when you do your examinations. So the next topic is student support and contact center. So from the contact center, because you need to know when you run into any problems, who do you contact, and also the procedure on how to to correctly send an email to the contact center. So for this section, I'm going to hand over to Cornelia from the Student Support Contact Center to take you through the process of how do you go about getting support if you get stuck with anything. Thank you. Over to you, Cornelia.
Thank you. Good afternoon, colleagues and students. My name is Gwanele, yes, from Student Support Contact Center. Our students, they normally call us the call center. We basically are here to bridge the gap between the complex exam-related inquiries, rather between students and all parties involved in the exam preparations. May I please share my screen?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Is it visible on your side? Engage SCSC for support.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, maybe Kwanela, if you can click on presentation so that it can be a presentation. This atlas on the bottom.
Is it fine now, Mr. Kaka?
Okay, no, not yet, but it's fine. Let's just present then.
Okay, thank you. As I said, that we bridge the gap between the exam related student inquiries and the university. We are there to support our students. So what we have is that we are reachable through the platforms, which is we have telephone platform, we have your social chats and social media, we have emails. So what normally happens during the examination period, we make sure that we have enough human resource under the telephone platform, because that's where our students normally reach the institution during that period. Some inquiries, we know that they are really not complex. The challenges that we normally have is that our students, they normally don't go through the processes. Most of the things, or rather questions they have, they are already available in our website and also myUNISA. Most of the information that was shared, it is available for our students to go through in order for them to really have the smooth examination process. So what we have currently is that when you communicate with the institution, or rather SCSC, you will have this on the auto reply. We'll request your student number, your contact details, and the full description of what is the problem that you are experiencing. Normally, we find that it is an FAQ we are able to resolve within the SCSC vision. We are able to resolve based on the presentation. We normally familiarize ourselves with all the processes so that we are able to provide students with the relevant solutions while they are going through their exam. Those are frequently asked questions, questions like how do you upload your iris, where do I get my exam question paper, how do I upload my answer book, and also the iris and the rest of the information. And then we then have those complex student inquiries where we are unable to resolve within the section. So normally we will monitor that, you know, based on the number of calls that we are receiving. I'll make an example with the system being down, then we'll receive high volume of calls that they're unable to submit, and then we'll communicate with stakeholders, because that is a complex inquiry. We are unable to resolve it within the department. So what will normally happen, the lecturers and the team will then decide to maybe extend the time, or if they're unable to submit using the normal way, a link will be, a contingency link will be then provided. So to reach us, the number is there, 0800 001870. Specifically for exam, you will need to go to option 3, where we'll have our consultants that will be able to assist you. And then you can also reach us, inquire@unisa.ac.za, which is our general email address. However, we advise that during examination period, in order for you to be assisted quickly or faster, you send your email to exam_inquiries@unisa.ac.za. You also call us and opt for option 4. When you call us, remember you need to include the problem, the screenshot, your student number, and the number that we can reach you in order for us to actually resolve your inquiry. Excuse me. If you are unable to resolve, as I said, we have Mr. Khabo. Beg your pardon, Mrs. Khabo. She's there to assist us. If we're unable to resolve, we then send the query to her. She's then able to communicate with the relevant stakeholders. Then we are able to actually resolve that complex student inquiry. We try by all means to go through the website, attend such trainings in order for us to minimize the complex student inquiries, because most of the queries that we resolve, the information is within our disposal. We are able to resolve. It's only minor issues. As I made a mistake, as I made an example, normally it's your system being down, or maybe you find that when students are logging in, the paper is not yet uploaded. Those are some of the complex inquiries that we will normally escalate to Ms. Khabo, Mr. Gaga, Carol, and Miss Sifulo. Yes, as I said, this is how you reach the SCSC. These are the email addresses. We have data queries there. Students are writing, they're eligible to receive data. You find that students haven't received data, then they normally send it to data queries. And also the auto reply will also provide you with the information that you need, or rather we need, in order for us to assist you. Your contact details, your student number, as well as the service provider. That we are unable to resolve within our reach, will then escalate it to relevant stakeholders so they can assist us with uploading that data for students. And also I have my module 2022 email address that I haven't said anything about. So that email address assists us with my module. 2022, for example, you find that you have been registered. However, your modules are not yet linked. We normally wait for the system to do it within 48 hours. If it's not done, then we are able to assist the student, and also the auto reply will request you to provide us with the relevant information in order for us to quickly assist you. I've also mentioned that you can communicate with us via chat, and we have your Facebook and Twitter, and then we have live chat where we have our colleagues that are sitting there communicating with students live. And then the next slide, we have the inquiry flow from the calls. We receive a call from a student. We welcome the student to the university. where we mention the name of the institution, the department that you are in. We offer assistance, and also you provide your name so that the student can know who is communicating with. So from there, we are able to identify the nature of the inquiry. Is it complex or is it an FAQ? If it is an FAQ, you've never downloaded the Invigilator app, you don't even know how it looks, we are able to assist you, take you through the process until you are fine and able to write your exam. If it's a complex inquiry where we are unable to resolve it, examination paper not yet uploaded, then we communicate with the relevant stakeholders through the escalation process, because if we are going to flood the product owners with calls and everything, unfortunately, they normally are not available to assist us. We normally use Ms. Chabo as our supervisor for escalation. Thank you. That's it from our side. We are ready for exams. And yes, we wish our students a best of luck with their exams. Thank you.
Colleagues, just to add on quickly, students, kindly note that when you communicate with us, you have to use your MyLife email address, because personal email addresses are not going to be looked at. Thank you.
Thank you, Cornelia and team, for all the valuable information. So if you've got any queries, please send us through to them from your MyLife email address. Up next is we've got Pintias from Oxford that will introduce to you what you need to do if you are a differently enabled student or a student with special needs. Just a reminder that for examinations, you are not automatically included for special exams. You need to apply. But over to you, Pintias. Thank you very much. Pintias, you are muted. We're not hearing sound from your side. Pintias, we're still not receiving any sound from your side. Maybe just select on the settings your output device.
Yes, colleagues, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Good to go. Just
Thank you so much.
Please. Thank you.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, fellow students. My name is Pintias Nkuna, as stated by our program director, Mr. Wright. Today, I'll talk to you about services for students with disabilities. The Advocacy and Resource Center for Students with Disabilities, which is a unit within the Department of Student Affairs, was established to provide just for the needs of students with diverse disabilities. The purpose of my presentation today is to give you more information on reasonable accommodation and also the online examination for students with diverse disabilities. And also that students with disabilities are not inferior to non-disabled students. And the acknowledgement of diversity by recognizing that students with disabilities have different but equally valued learning needs. Ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 exposed the need for students with disabilities to have access to technology in order to write their online examinations. By disclosing a disability during the application period, this increases your chances of placement by the university. The university takes disability serious then if you disclose your disability at the point of application and you meet the requirements of the qualification, you are immediately placed. You are not put on the waiting list. Students are also assisted with application for bursaries for students with disabilities, which caters for their tuition fees, prescribed books, assistive devices. And I must emphasize that these assistive devices could make your studies easier and also enable you to write your online exams easy. The bursary has an allocation of 50,000 rands for an assistive device, and again 50,000 rands for human support. One may ask, what is this human support? Students with disabilities, from time to time, they need assistance from a third party. It could be maybe if you are blind, you need somebody to collect a particular material for you or to convert. Then you can use this money to assist to pay the person, or including if you are deaf, you may require sign language interpretation services. You can use this 50,000 rands to fund for the service that you received. And we also have a 2,000 rands allocation, which is a once-off for medical assessment. This is done because from time to time, when you require services from the university, we'll require a proof of your disability. Not because we are taking you back to the medical model, but because we don't see our students face to face. We therefore need the confirmation in a form of a medical certificate. Students who complete special assistance form during at the point of registration are also able to receive their accessible study material, which is relevant to their disability, in order to prepare adequately for their exams. This includes your braille material, large print, audio, etc. At the point of registration, students with print disabilities can request prescribed books in electronic formats to study using their assistive devices or laptops with screen readers or text magnification softwares, such as Zoom Text, JAWS, or NVDA. One may ask, what is print disability? These are students who are unable to study using printed material. This could be blind students, students who are complete quadriplegic, students with learning disabilities, just to mention a few. And in terms of special examination arrangements, I'd like to emphasize that students with disabilities are exempted from proctoring for this exam period. Only those who disclose their status at the point of registration. If you have a disability but you did not disclose, you are therefore not exempted from proctoring. And again, I must emphasize that when you disclose your disability, we need a medical certificate to confirm this. And the reason for exempting students with disabilities from proctoring is not because they are lesser beings, but as part of reasonable accommodation. To give an example, the Invigilator app from time to time may require a student to take a selfie or take a picture of their script. If you are blind, you won't be able to take a selfie. And again, another example, if a student is deaf, there will be a prompt in between whereby it will be in a form of a sound. The deaf student cannot hear that. That, just to give an example, that's why students with disabilities are exempted from this. And again, ladies and gentlemen, for students who require special examination arrangements, it is important to apply. These services is not automatic, because you may present the same disability only to find that your needs are different. Just to give an example, a student who was born blind and a person who acquired blindness later in their lives, the amount of extra time that they will need will differ. Or again, a person who's paraplegic, depending on the level of the paraplegia, their needs will also differ. Students who qualify for special examination arrangements or who can apply for special examination arrangements are students with different disabilities or special needs or those with medical conditions, as we don't discriminate to accommodate diversity. How to apply for special examination arrangements? You need to complete a form, and this particular form then must be taken to a medical doctor just to confirm and also motivate, whereby we need to provide an extended support to you. And one may ask, is the extra time similar for all students? No. The extra time will depend on the severity of your disability. And again, the university provides alternative assessment in cases whereby the prescribed assessment does not accommodate your disability, only to qualifying students with disabilities. One may ask, do I apply every year for special examination arrangements? The answer is no. You only confirm once a year. And in cases whereby your disability deteriorate or progress, you'll have to reapply. Just to give an example in this one again, in cases this year, you are partially sighted and your disability progress to complete blindness, then your needs will completely differ. Therefore, you should apply so that we can provide the required support. And for students who will struggle with their screen readers during exams, please make sure that you send an email to examdisabled@unisa.ac.za, and also please copy the lecture there so that we can facilitate the provision of an accessible question paper. And in case if you fall sick during exams, please follow the standard procedure to apply for agro-tests. What do I do? Should I acquire a disability before exam? It is important that you inform the university of your needs. We don't wish to defer a student because they've acquired a disability before exams. If you are ready to sit for the exam and you acquired a disability, please inform us so that we can adjust and accommodate you. The confirmation letter for students who applied for special examination arrangements will only be sent to the MyLife email address. As Mr. Kaka earlier said, that's the only email that we recognize as UNISA. While we provided students with study material in Braille and large print, it must be emphasized that for this particular exam, students will not be able to write their exams using Braille. They can write their exams using their laptop with JAWS or NVDA. The Braille material was only provided to you to ensure that you are adequately prepared for your exams. We encourage you to please try to test your system, your technology, in particular for students who receive their access technology during this semester. Please make sure that it functions very well. And to our deaf students, we are quite aware that certain students who are deaf, in particular those who are born deaf, they write using the SMS language. We encourage them to write in full. ACSWIT encourages students not to conceal their disability, because while we respect students' right to disclose or not to disclose their disability, if a student does not disclose their disability, they may not receive or demand reasonable accommodation from the university, because we will not be aware of your individual needs. Ladies and gentlemen, let me emphasize that disability can be acquired by anyone, anytime. And disability is everyone's responsibility. As a student, wherever you are, if you don't yet have a disability, it's always important to treat those with disability with the respect and dignity that they richly deserve, because you may also acquire a disability at a later stage. And disabilities are both visible and invisible, and UNISA accommodates all these disabilities. Don't say because mine is not visible, I cannot disclose. Please do disclose so that we can accommodate you. and the university may not discriminate against any students with disability. As I said earlier, disabilities comes differently. There are those who are inborn, hereditary, and are those disabilities that can be acquired like through accidents, gunshots, step wounds, diving in a swimming pool. Ladies and gentlemen, never refer to a person with a disability. Don't say they're blind, they're paraplegic, they're deaf. Refer to the person with using the names that were given by their parents. I urge all students to join hands against the prejudice that constitute the biggest barrier against students with disabilities. And ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all the best with your exams. In conclusion, I'd like to leave you with a quote by Thomas Edison. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. I thank you.
Thank you, Matthias. So we're coming to the end of our program. I just want to remind you for next week, we will have another webinar next week, Wednesday at 10 o'clock. And then next week, Thursday, we will have the student blast sessions. So the student blast sessions are almost like normal Microsoft Teams meetings. And the nice thing about it, that is where you can come and give your feedback. So if you struggle with anything, have any errors received on your side, please come to the student blast session. We can open the mics, you can share your screen, and we can walk you through certain aspects. So please first do a webinar where you can get all the information, look at the myExams guides, and then if you still struggle with anything, come to the student blast sessions where you can ask your questions. There are 2 sessions running concurrently, so when you join, you select the one with the least amount of students in there so that we can get you a question quicker. So please, next week, if you're still available and you have any problems, come to the student blast session. Then I'm just quickly, before we end, just ask David Harpersat, that has been helping in the chat, if there's any questions that he just wants to highlight that perhaps was asked frequently and perhaps areas that the students still need any clarity on. David?
All right, thanks, Richard, and thanks you, students. I know we're a little bit over time, so I'm just going to quickly go through it. I think the best thing you guys can do is, and a lot of the questions were answered, and thank you to all the colleagues, is students start with the open myExams support site. Get onto that site. You can easily access it through myUnisa once you've enrolled, and work through all the course pages, the sections. Because a lot of the questions would have been answered then, and the colleagues actually have referred to it as well. So that's definitely what you should do. And as you work through that, you will see where or how do you identify which module of yours is going to use which proctoring app, because that question came up quite a lot. So definitely it's under section 3. You'll be able to see that. The link for the myExams link on the myUnisa site will be restored, guys. The ICT are busy working on it, and by tomorrow again, so probably by next week it will be back there again. So they will definitely have done that. Then the recording is going to be available on the YouTube channel as well as the course site, the very same course site I was referring to earlier. So you can also get it there. And then also take note of a question that comes up a lot, and just sort of repeat, if you've got a portfolio module or a continuous assessment module, then you are not writing an exam. So please do check the announcements and your tutorial letter 101 just to make sure exactly what's required from you. If you are writing a multiple choice or written exam, again, work to that site when it gets to the aspect of identifying your modules and which proctoring tool you're going to need. That would pretty much answer your questions that you guys had. And on the last point, please make sure you do the mock exams and the demo for the Invigilator app. So please check first which tools you need to use, and then once you know which tools, go and practice it so that you are super ready for your exams. That's it from me, Richard.
Thank you, David. So students, I'm just sharing the link again to the myExams guides. So please take a photo of it or write down the link at the bottom. It's just bit.ly ly/myexams guide. So please go through the guides. We will upload the recordings. Have a look at the frequently asked questions there as well. We do update it as new information becomes available. So thank you for all our presenters and everybody that joined in today, and all the best with your examinations. I hope you have a good weekend ahead. Thank you. Bye.